we finished up to where we get until we're on Vavam and base. We are in the middle, a little more towards, a little more south. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 7 lines, 6 lines up from the wide lines. First one in line is Amarav Huna Amarav. That is where we're up to. Today we're going till 25. Okay. So till now we're talking about an egg laid on Rosh Hashanah, or Yom Tiv. Now we're sort of entering. We're staying with eggs, but we're just gonna bring down a new memra. Okay, yeah.
Rabbi, I just booted up. Could you tell me again the
Sure.
page?
Vavam and Bay 6b, around 6 lines up from the wide lines.
Okay, first word is Amarav. Yep.
Yeah, Amarav.
All right.
All right. So we're on Vavam and Bay. We're on 6b. Amarav Huna Amarav. Amarav Huna Amarav. Beitza in Mitzasa Nigmara. So his line is that if the egg comes out, if the egg is laid, Nigmara is complete. So what does this mean? What's this idea that if the egg is laid, is complete? What does this mean? So my imitzasa Nigmara. What does this mean? Ilema imitzasa Nigmara umeteres la'achla bechalav. If you tell me that once an egg is totally is removed from the hen's body, only then is permitted to eat with milk. Until that point, it's considered part of the body, and it'll be considered basar, and considered meat, and forbidden to eat with milk. At least the Rabbanan. But in the mother's, while it's in the hen's stomach, it'll still be forbidden to eat with meat. But we learned. But the problem with that is that we have a Brisa that states that if one finds an egg, if one shechts a hen and finds an egg in the stomach or whatever in the body, then it's permitted to eat that egg with milk. So you can't come and tell me that the chiddush of Rav Huna Amar Rav of when an egg leaves the hen, it's complete. It's not complete concerning that now it's permitted to eat with milk, but previously it's forbidden. Meaning the case when you slaughter the chicken and find an egg inside of it, because we have a brayso that says that is still permitted to eat with milk. So we have to go on to our next case. That if it comes out of the chicken on Erev Yom Tiv, then it's permitted to eat with then it's permitted to eat on Yom Tiv itself. But if it's found in, but if it's slaughtered and found in the hen, then it'll be forbidden to eat on Yom Tiv. We're on Vavam and Beis. We're on the second one there. Now, it cannot, right? So obviously, we learned many times that an egg which is laid on Yom Tiv is forbidden to eat on that day. So we're talking about, so what it means to say is that when the egg, if the egg leaves Erev Yom Tiv, then of course it's permitted on Yom Tiv, but it's coming to exclude if it's on Yom Tiv found in the hen. But we learned, but we learned in the Brisa, if you slaughter a chicken, and you find complete, fully formed, complete eggs in the hen, which is permitted to eat on Yom Tiv. So you can't come and tell me that this memra, this statement of Rahuna Marav, that if when the egg leaves the hen, it's complete. It's not come to tell me to exclude a case where it's found in the hen, because we have a brayso that says that is permitted on Yom Tiv. But if you tell me, if you come and tell me that the brayso is teaching us something which we did not have in the Mishnah, because maybe the brayso is teaching us, this brayso of Rav Huna Marav is telling it's forbidden. Hanami Tanina, we also have a Mishnah that states, so we have our Mishnah, a egg which is laid on Yom Tiv, Bishami says is permitted to eat. That's our Mishnah way back on the first half. Beis Hillel says it's not permitted to eat. Now, so if you analyze the words of this argument to Bisham and Beis Hillel, all it's obviously talking about a case after the egg is laid, because it clearly says Beya shenolda b'yomtiv, an egg which is laid on Yom Tiv. But we could deduct from here, continues the Gemara, Ava may iman, but if it's slaughtered and found in the mother's stomach and found in the hen, they were called sharina. Everyone will agree that Bisham and Beis Hillel will agree that it's permitted. So we wanted to take this memra of Rab, and the memra of Rab is simply Beya imisasa nigmara. An egg, if it leaves the hen, it's complete. We're trying to go back and forth, trying to figure out what is this coming to teach us. What's the topic? So we want to offer that on Erev Yom Tiv, it has to be complete Erev Yom Tiv, and only then it will be permitted. But if that's true, we'll deduct that if it's in the mother's hen, if it's in the hen and it's slaughtered on Yom Tiv, it will be forbidden. On that we say no. We have an open Mishnah that seems to be teaching us, both Beis Shammai, both agree that the whole machlokes on an egg is only if it's laid on Yom Tiv. But if it's found in the hen on Yom Tiv, meaning you've slaughtered the hen, you find an egg inside of it, everyone will agree that it's permitted. Now, that would tell us that this line of imitzas nigmara, if the egg leaves, is complete, cannot be coming to teach us that it only if it leaves the hen is permitted, but if it's found inside the hen is forbidden. If our Mishnah teaches us that is permitted. Now, now maybe the way we deduced from our Mishnah that the way we figured out from our Mishnah that a Beis Hillel seems to hold that an egg which is a hen which is slaughtered and find an egg inside of it is permitted, is because the argument seems to be an egg which is laid, but an egg which is found inside the hen will be permitted. But maybe Beis Hillel also says that's not permitted. He says that an egg which is laid in Yom Tov is not permitted, and if it's found in the hen, it's also not permitted. But if so, why are we specifically arguing on an egg which is laid? We could have been more inclusive. We could have said more. We could have said that whether it's found, and any egg is forbidden, any fresh egg is forbidden, whether it's laid, whether it's found in the hen. So maybe the reason why we use the word nolda, which means laid, the reason why we're focusing on the case of a laid egg is telling you the power of Beis Shammai, that even when it's laid, it's going to be permitted. Because when it's laid, you have issues. It's more of a chance of being muksa than just found in the mother's hen, found the egg in the hen. Now, now, if that's true, if you come and tell me that Beis Hillel really holds that if you slaughter a hen and you find an egg inside of it on Yom Tiv, it's really usher, really forbidden. And the word of the Mishnah nolda, laid, is not coming to teach you that the argument is only by laid. They just happen to use that word for a different reason. But really, the argument is whether it's found in the hen on Yom Tiv or if it's laid on Yom Tiv. But we have a problem with the following brisa. It said that someone slaughters. I'll go back to say the line, the brisa again. Someone slaughters a chicken, and you find complete eggs inside of it. It's permitted to eat on Yom Tiv. Now, who is this? Who's going to be the one? Who's the sage who stated this Mishnah? Money. Loi Beis Shammai. It can't be Beis Shammai, because for sure Beis Shammai holds that. Beis Shammai holds that. Beis Shammai not only holds that if you slaughter an egg and you find Beis Shammai, if you slaughter a hen and you find an egg inside of it, he holds not only is that permitted, but also if the egg is laid is permitted. So this brisa would not be Beis Shammai, because why would he be focusing on he would be telling us the more extreme permission, which is if it's laid. So it can't be Beis Shammai. Well, Beis Hillel. It can't be Beis Hillel also, because if you're trying to tell me that Beis Hillel holds that really if you find an egg inside of the hen after it's slaughtered is forbidden, then this brisa telling that is permitted. So it has to be that this brisa is really Beis Hillel. So and therefore Beis Hillel has to hold that if you find an egg in a hen after it's slaughtered on Yom Tov, it's really permitted. And the diuk of the Mishnah is correct. The whole argument to Beis Shammai Beis Hillel in the Mishnah was only going on if it's laid. But everyone agrees that if you slaughter a hen and you find an egg inside of it, it will be permitted on Yom Tov. So now that leaves us back to the original statement of Rav of Beya Imitzasa, a Beya, when it's laid, Nigmara Beya, when it's complete, it's when it comes out, Yatza, when it comes out, Nigmara is complete. What's that going on? It can't be going on. We wanted to propose that perhaps it's going on telling us that if an egg is laid Erev Yom Tov, it's permitted. But that's the only way that an egg is permitted on Yom Tov. But if it's found in the hen on Yom Tov, it's forbidden. That's not true, because both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel both agree that if you slaughter an egg, if you slaughter a hen on Yom Tov, it will be permitted. Therefore, we have to go back to find another explanation. What does it mean if the egg comes out, if the egg leaves, it is complete. So now the Gemara, we're on the second last line on Vav Amud Beis, on 6b, and the Gemara is going to propose a new answer. Now this is going to be one of many. The Gemara is going to propose many answers, many different possible answers. Now, Ella, Imitzasa Nigmara, rather, what it means to say is that Imitzasa Nigmara, if it comes out complete, Umegadlas Afruchim, B'mei Ima, and it's and you're able to. It's like this. Imitzasa Nigmara, Umegadlas Afruchim, that only an egg could only possibly be basically an egg could only go ahead and could produce a chick only if it fully is if the mother lays it, if the hen lays it. But if you slaughter a chicken and you find an egg inside of it, it's not possible for it to go ahead and actually produce chicks. Now, who really cares if this egg is able to hatch or not, or it's just going to remain? It's never gonna form. The Hamachekes has nothing to do with Yom Tov. It's nothing to do with Shabbos. Nothing to do with Muksa. The nafkamina, the practical application of the difference between an egg which is laid completely and therefore it could produce a chick, and one which is found inside the hen which it cannot, is only really practically applied to the halachis of mekach memkar choshim mishpah, the halachis of business in the sale. Why? In the following case, now we're going we're on the top of Zaim and Alpha up to 7a. It's a person that said, "Boy de pachil man yavuli." So he said was that he wanted fertilized eggs. He wanted eggs which are able to produce chicks. He wanted an egg in order that you're able to he's able to take the egg and place it under a different hen or whatever and put it in an incubator and somehow it's going to produce a chick. Now, manuele boy the shchuta. But however, he ended up buying, the person that sold to him lied or just tricked. He ended up selling him eggs that came from a slaughtered hen. Now, Asta Kamei Ravami, and he came from the Rami because obviously the eggs never hatched, and he was upset. So it's a mekach. It's a mekach is a business transaction which was done by mistake. That one of the buyer or the buyer bought it on the false assumption, which is that's true. In this case, he thought he was buying eggs that could produce chicks, and then he was buying eggs that could not. And so for Rami Paskin, you have to give back the money. Vahadar pshita, and you have to return pshita. That's obvious, of course. He bought something on the false assumption. So now the same I might think that the person didn't really want chickens that were going to hatch in order to produce chickens. Rather, he wanted chickens because because they taste better. Fully formed eggs are going to taste better than eggs found in a hen. He feels better. So what's the difference? So even so, what's the practical difference? Who cares what he wanted it for? The answer is that if he wanted the eggs just to eat, but he wanted better quality eggs, then you could pay the difference. If the good quality egg is $1 and the bad quality is only 60 cents, he has to pay 40 cents difference because he got an extra 40 cents per egg. But if he wants the egg in order to actually raise chickens, then you have to return the entire thing because the eggs are useless. They're not even worth 1 cent for him. Therefore, that is the practical application to this halacha that an egg could only produce chicks if it's actually fully laid, not slaughtered and found in the hen. Okay. Now on this, we have a similar story. There was this person that went into the marketplace and said, "Boy de dakro lamam, de boy de dakro lamam." Who has fertilized eggs? Who has fertilized eggs? Yavule Beit Isvanamara. He ended, and someone sold him unfertilized eggs. Also came the Rabbi Ami. They came from the Rabbi Ami. Amrulhu Mekachtais Uvahadar. Rabbi Ami said, of course, it's a Mekachtais, it's a sale on false assumption, so therefore the entire thing is null and void, and you have to return it. Pshita, that's obvious. Of course, it was null and void. It was a full false assumption. He liked him and gave him the wrong item. Ma the same. I may think that person wanted eggs in order to have just fertilized eggs taste better. The darko mishon that shimin and fei. He wanted to eat it and just taste. It's more if it's fertilized. There's more. It's shimin and late. It's better. What's the practical application? What's the difference if you want it? Halachically? What's the difference? Again, the same idea. Do you have to pay the difference, or do you have to return, or does the seller have to give a full refund? And that's the difference. So if you want fertilized eggs to grow chicks, you have to give a full refund. If you want it to eat, then you just pay the difference. Okay, so that's the first answer. What's this halacha? If it leaves complete, if it leaves the egg, then it's complete. Then only then it's able to produce chicks, and it's a business transaction halacha. Now we have another answer. We're on the first word line of Zayim and base of 7a. Another way to understand what does it mean when it leaves the hand is complete. Mitzasa ruba nigmara. You have to throw in the word majority. That if let's say the egg sort of starts being laid, and it gets past 50% of the egg is already exposed to the avra. It's already out of the hen, and then somehow it goes back in. At that point, it's considered a laid egg. Like Rabbi Yochanan, ruba erev yomtiv. Let's say the farmer's watching the chicken, and he sees the majority of the egg is already left at the hen. And somehow it goes back, it pops back in. That egg, when it's laid, it's permitted to eat on Yomtiv, because even though it's laid on Yomtiv, but since on Erev Yomtiv the majority was exposed, at that point we consider it already laid, and therefore it will be permitted on Yomtiv, even though usually a laid egg on Yomtiv is forbidden, but this egg we consider it halachically as if it was laid on Erev Yomtiv itself. That's another explanation. Now we're going to come to a third explanation. What does it mean if it is if it leaves the hen is complete? And Yitzia kula nigmara. It's the opposite. It has to leave completely. And Yitzia kula in. Only if it leaves completely, then it's considered like it's laid halachically. And the good example is on Yom Tiv, that it has to be completely laid 100% out of the hen on Erev Yom Tiv. In Avoruba, but only a majority is laid. Like and this is coming to exclude from Rabbi Yochanan. We just mentioned Rabbi Yochanan holds that it needs a majority. The other opinion is like, no, it has to be that is complete. Now, on this we have a question. Gufa, let's say you slaughter a hen, and you find eggs inside of it. Gemurais, and they're already fully formed. They are permitted to eat with milk. Rabbi Yaakov Omer, but Rabbi Yaakov says, so Rabbi Yaakov holds that if they are still connected to the hen with sinews and it's still embedded in the hen, it will be forbidden. So again, it has to be completely severed according to Rabbi Yaakov. So the Tanna Kama holds it seems like any egg which you find in a hen, regardless, as long as it's somewhat formed, as long as it looks like an egg, it's already called separate, and you could eat it with milk. However, Yaakov holds that no, if it's in any way attached to the physical body of the hen, it's still called part of the hen, and it's still called meat. It's a basar. It's like a limb of the chicken, and therefore it will be forbidden. That is the machlokes. Now we're going to go into a machlokes trying to figure out how far do we take this. What do we mean? How connected does Yaakov hold? Does it have to be in order for it to still be called part of the egg? Now, Mantana. Who is the one who holds of the following brisa? Someone eats a kosher bird, but it's a nevela. It wasn't slaughtered properly. If you're eating it from the shalol, so beitzim is that area which we at least for now we are considering it that it's part of the it's still attached to it's the egg which is still attached by somewhat by sinews and other ligaments is still connected to the hen. It says the ovaries itself. It's the ovaries. Okay, so we'll go with the ovaries. Mishal Beitzim.
Or the sinews, it says.
Yeah, I don't think we're up to the I think the ovaries is coming up. I think we're talking about an egg, from what I understand, is that it's somewhat still connected to the, Rashi explains, it's still connected to the spine. Wherever it grows, wherever the egg is formed, it's still connected to the actual bird. Minat samais, or you eat from the bones, minat gidin, and from the sinews, minat basar shnishvalash minachai, or if it's meat which is ripped off the bird while it was still alive, tahar, you're still tahar. So the halacha is that there are times when you eat, and there are times that just by eating something which is impure, just by eating something will make you impure. Now, I'm not talking about eating non-kosher. Now, I'm talking about you're eating something which is impure, and now it causes you can't go to the Beis Hamikdash, and so on and so forth. So if you eat any of these parts of, we're talking about a kosher, we're talking about a chicken which is kosher, it just was not slaughtered properly. So if you eat any of these things, you're still going to be pure. Now, you're not allowed to eat it, of course, right? Any of this is a problem because you're eating from a non-slaughtered animal. But it's not going to make you impure. At least that aspect you're going to be okay with. And the reason is that none of these really have any taste. The bones have no taste, the sinews have no taste, and also if it's ripped off while it's alive, that's still not a problem because there's no impurity in that. Now, mina eshkol shel beitzim, if you eat from, I think this is what that we consider more the ovaries, right? Yeah, if you eat from the ovaries, mina krokvin, from the spleen usually. I think krokvin is spleen. Intestines, okay. The crop, okay. From the crop. Ubnei main, or the intestines. Or if you take the fat and you heat it up, and you eat it, and then you swallow it, tummy. So any of these things, you are going to be impure.
What's the crop?
The crop is, the birds have a special part of the stomach, right? As it goes down the gullet. All the birds have crops. It's just with birds.
What's the crop?
I don't know. Do you know?
Well,
Where's Donna?
guys, check me out.
I'm the guy to ask. Crop comes off of the beginning of the esophagus. The fact that the chicken or whatever it is will pick up little pieces of gravel and things like that, and the food winds up going in there and it kind of grinds it up. Since chickens don't have very good teeth, since they don't have any teeth, so that's what the crop is.
Got it. It's
Thank you.
I mean, it's the incinerator, whatever. Very good. Okay, thank you. Okay, so if you eat any of these, it's going to be you will be impure once you swallow it. Now we have a problem. Who's one that holds that if you're eating from eggs which are still connected to the body with something, some ligaments, some sinew, that you'll still be pure? Rabbi Yosef, like Rabbi Yaakov. That can't be like Rabbi Yaakov. Now remember, Rabbi Yaakov is the one who just said in the previous Beitza that if anything is connected to the chicken if the egg is connected to the chicken in any way, if you slaughter and open and you find the egg is connected to the chicken, at least that's how we're understanding. We're not sure exactly what he meant. He wrote that somehow it's connected with sinews or ligaments, then it's going to be forbidden to eat with meat. The meaning, i.e., means we consider it part of the body, it's part of the flesh. So this is what we just learned, that if you eat an egg which is connected to by anything connected with sinews or any ligament to the actual hen, you're still going to be pure. That can't be like Rabbi Yaakov. Because if it is like Rabbi Yaakov, so it's like this. That according to Rabbi Yaakov, he holds that if it's connected with anything to the chicken, it's usur. It's forbidden to eat with milk. So that means we consider it part of the body of the chicken. So therefore, if you swallow it, since it's part of a chicken that was a nevela, it wasn't slaughtered properly, it should just like be eating the crop or the intestines or any part of it or the fat, because part and parcel of the chicken, and there is taste to it. Therefore, it must be the one that means that the one who holds that if you eat any egg which is connected to the chicken, you're still pure. It's not like Rabbi Yaakov. Because Rabbi Yaakov, you can't eat it. Such an egg is forbidden to eat with milk, and therefore we can understand it would also be forbidden, and it will also make you impure. Now, that is that's Rabbi Yosef. That's how Rabbi Yosef understands it. Amalei Abaya, but Abaya said back, Nemai, why? Dilma at kind like Rabbi Yaakov. Rabbi Yaakov didn't go so far. Hasam el inin asura. Maybe Rabbi Yaakov held that eating such an egg, which is slightly connected to the chicken, is only forbidden. Avil in tumalai. Who says it's going to make you impure? Right? Now, just like we said that there's other items that don't make you impure, which when you eat the actual bird. However, over here is not same thing with the egg. It's not going to make you impure. It's not going to make you impure. Yeah.
Page position again.
Yeah. So we're on Zayin Amud Aleph. We're on 7a. I mean, we're pretty much the middle of it. The first word line is Hasam.
Hasam Ella.
Yep, you got it.
Okay.
Right. Now, the reason why, just Rashi explains the reason that when it comes to the egg, which is slightly connected to the hen, at that point we're willing to say that we consider it part of the animal and part of the chicken, and therefore it's going to be considered meat, and you can't eat it with milk because it's a gzeira, it's a decree. Since I'm eating something from the actual, I'm eating a item which was connected to physically connected to the hen, because I slaughtered it, opened the egg, and found that it was connected. I slaughtered the hen, opened it up, found the egg connected to the body. At that point, we're going to consider that as basar, as meat, because it's a decree. Someone's going to see you eating it. And they're going to see you eating with milk. People are going to think, wow, if you reach into the chicken, pulled out a piece, ate it, it must be that he's eating part of the chicken with milk. Now that's asur, that's forbidden. Therefore, the rabbis made a decree that's going to be. Therefore, Rabbi Yaakov said it's forbidden. When it comes to toma impurity, there's no such concern. Therefore, really means the truth is that an egg which is slightly connected to the hen is really not part of the hen, and really you might be able to eat it with milk. But Rabbi Yaakov made a decree that it's going to be forbidden, but he wouldn't apply that to toma v'tahara. He wouldn't apply that to impurity. Now, if you tell me that Rabbi Yaakov also went ahead and made a decree when it came to impurity, that at that point, even if you think so, that he made a decree even to impurity, and that we say that is going to be you're causing that's tumah d'Rabbanan, and we don't like to make too many cases of tumah d'Rabbanan. We don't make decrees, rabbinic decrees when it comes to tumah. We don't like to. It ends up wasting food. It causes too much of a problem. Therefore, the rabbis were willing to make a decree when it came to basar v'chalav, to eat meat and milk, and therefore the egg, which is slightly connected to the hen, is going to be considered meat. However, to cause it impure, that's going to cause a huge waste of food eventually. Therefore, we rather not, and therefore it's possible he did it. So that's the first way to understand what Rabbi Yaakov held. So this, according to this, Rabbi Yaakov held if the egg is connected in the slightest way to the hen, it's going to be forbidden. It's not going to be forbidden. Rather, you can't eat it with milk. We consider it part of the bird and it's considered meat. But when it comes to impurity, it's not going to make you impure if this chicken was not slaughtered properly. Now we have another way to understand it. The Iked Amri, and some say, Man Tana mina eshkol shel beitzim tamei. Who's the one who held in the other part of the Brisa? The Brisa brought down many cases that does make you impure. We said, if you eat the crop, if you eat the intestines, if you eat the ovaries. Who spoke about the ovaries? Who said that the ovaries are going to make you impure? The ovaries of the egg? On Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yaakov. So another way to understand this is that we're saying that the Brisa is Rabbi Yaakov. Because in the Seifa, in the second half of the Brisa, it said if you eat the ovaries, you're going to be impure. That's going to be Rabbi Yaakov. If you eat the, so we're saying that if you eat an egg in the ovaries, you'll be impure. Because Rabbi Yaakov held that the egg, when it's connected to the hen, it's going to make you we consider it part of the hen to the point where it's considered like meat and it cannot be eaten with milk. Now that means that also if I eat this egg while it's connected to the hen of a hen that was not slaughtered properly, it'll make you impure. So now we're saying that it is like this. The second way to understand it is that the Brisa is like Rabbi Yaakov. So Amalei Abaya says, "My the eshkol mahanach the talia beeshkol dilma eshkol gufei." And now we ask, who said we're talking about the egg which is in the an egg which is in the uterus? Maybe we're talking about or by the ovaries. Maybe we're talking about the actual ovaries itself. And that's fully part of the animal, and that should make you impure. And if you come and tell me that it's the ovaries itself, what's it coming to teach me? Need to have a korkvin ubnei mayin. Why is that different than any other part of the body of the chicken? Davgav the basterninu, kivnika inchi, achli ishrech lashminon. Now, no. So the answer is as follows: that perhaps we have to mention all the things that most people don't eat. I might think that the things which people don't eat is not going to make you impure. It's not normal to eat it. Therefore, it's not going to make. Now, it's forbidden to eat, of course, but it's not going to make you impure. So therefore, we have to mention all the items that people don't eat. Like crop, I guess people don't eat the crop. Intestines, that people don't eat. And also, people are not going to eat the ovaries. So therefore, we sort of have two ways to. So at the end of the day, we have two ways to understand how far Rabbi Yaakov is going. The first way to understand is if it's connected with one sinu at all, if it's connected in the slightest manner to the hen, it's going to be considered meat, and you can't eat it with milk. And then the other one, in the first opinion, said no. If it's slightly connected, it'll be permitted. The second way to understand is if it's slightly connected, it is permitted, but only when it's still fully attached to the ovaries. Only then we say that's called fully connected, and then it's going to be forbidden to eat with meat. And therefore, in the Tanakh is going to hold no. Even when it's fully connected and it's still being formed, it's called its own separate entity and will be considered it will be permitted to eat with it. So from here we understand two ways to see how Rabbi Yaakov holds how connected does the egg have to be to the chicken in order to be considered meat. Okay, Tarabanan. Well, now that we're talking about chickens and the aspect of laying it, we're going to go on to we're going to continue on this subject and halachic ramifications. Tarabanan. Any animal that mates during the day, it will give birth during the day. Any animal which usually mates during nighttime, it will give birth at night. Any animal which usually mates, there's no difference. Sometimes during the day, sometimes at night. Now, also then it will give birth during the day and during the night. What's an example of an animal that only mates during the day, that will give birth during the day? That is a hen that they only mate during the day, therefore it will only lay an egg during the day. What is an example of an animal that only mates at nighttime, therefore only give birth at nighttime? Zu atlaf. This is, I think, the bat. Now, what's an example of an animal that mates day or night? Adam and a human, and every mammal which is comparable to it. Now, what does that do with halacha? Amar any animal that has mates during the day, it will give birth during the day. This is a chicken. Who cares? What's the practical application in halacha? Like Rav Mari Braid Rav Kahana. This is coming like Rav Mari Braid Rav Kahana. The Ami Rami Bar. The Amar Rav Mari Braid Rav Kahana. Because we have the following statement from Rav Mari Braid Rav Kahana. Badak bekana shel tarnagoylin me'erev Yom Tov. Let's say I check erev Yom Tov. I go out to my chicken coop and I check to see if there are any eggs. V'lo matzah, and I don't find an egg. Ba beya v'lo matzah ba beya, and I don't find any eggs there. Well, the machar, and the next day, hashkim, I wake up early. Matzah ba beya and Beitza, and I find an egg. So now, what's the halacha? I checked yesterday, erev Yom Tov, I didn't find any egg. I checked early morning in the coop, and I do find an egg. So I assume that it was laid today, and therefore it's going to be forbidden? It was laid after dark. Or do I say it was laid yesterday and it's permitted because yesterday was erev Yom Tov? Mutaris, it's permitted. But how is that possible, we ask? Why is it permitted? I checked yesterday, I didn't find any egg, so I must assume that it was laid after Yom Tov started. Now we say, Loi badak yafa. You didn't check well. Loi badak yafa yafa. You didn't check very well. And now since we know the halacha is that an egg, a hen will usually lay an egg only during daytime. If I check it right before nightfall and didn't find anything, and then I check in before sunrise, or I check very early in the morning, and I still don't find anything, and I do find an egg, it must be I didn't check yesterday. Well, that's what the practical ramifications. And we're not going to say that the hen laid an egg at nighttime, because at nighttime, chickens do not lay eggs. Now, afilu badak yafa. Let's say I checked extremely well erev Yom Tov, and I didn't find anything. Emar yitzasa ruba v'chazra. Then we'll say that what happened was that we had an egg. It did come out for the most part during daytime, and then it popped back in, and it popped back into the hen. And at some point, v'chazra who could Rabbi Yochanan, and it came back out. So it's like Rabbi Boruch said, if the majority of the egg is already leaves the hen, it's going to be permitted. Okay, so that's the practical application of the hen that the animal that only mates during the day, only lays an egg during the day, to tell us that we could assume if you wake up in the morning, early morning, and you find an egg, we'll always assume it's from the day before, regardless of how you checked it, how well you checked the coop. Now, and is that so? Amar Rabbi Yossi bar Shaul, Amar Rav, Badak bekana shel tarnigoros. That the halacha is, according to Rabbi Yossi ben Shmuel in the name of Rav, that if I check a chicken coop of a chicken, the Erev Yom Tov on Erev Yom Tov, v'lo matzah ba Beitza, and I don't find any egg. Well, but the next day, hashkem, I wake up early, which usually means right before sunrise, u'matzah ba Beitza, and I do find an egg. Asura, it's forbidden, but we just learned that if you find an egg before sunrise, it must be from the day before, and it should be permitted. So why in this case is it forbidden? Hasam, the answer is b'disfano ma'ara. At that point, we'll assume that the egg was not fertilized. Now, if it's not fertilized, it never made it. So if it never made it, then this whole halacha doesn't apply. So therefore, the halacha is if I wake up early in the morning, I find an egg, and I check the day before, I can assume it's an unfertilized egg. If so, so now I have a problem. Then the whole original halacha goes out the window, because whenever I find an egg early in the morning, who am I to say that the egg was the chicken was fertilized the day before, made it the day before, and therefore it's from the day before? We're going to assume that maybe it's an unfertilized egg, and then there's no proof of day or night. Now we say b'ika zachar bahada, that we say when there's a male chicken around. B'ika zachar nam imim arasvana, we say, but who cares? Even though there's a male chick, maybe it still wasn't fertilized. There's no guarantee. Amarvina gemiri kol hecha dika zachar leisfanim ara. That the halacha is that it's a chazaka. We know for a fact that whenever there's no when there's no male when there are no roosters around, if there's a rooster around, it's guaranteed that it will be a fertilized egg. So if you have a chicken coop with roosters inside of it, if you find the egg in the morning, early morning, before sunrise, then I can assume it's from the day before. But if there's no rooster around, and we'll see in a minute what does that mean, when there's no rooster around, then we'll say that you cannot go ahead and assume anything, and therefore it will be forbidden, because we'll say it's an unfertilized egg, and there's no and we don't know when it came. How far do we say what's called a rooster is around? How far? What's the distance? Amrav Gamda, the Shmei Derav, Kol Hecha, we turn to the top of Zion on the day, 7b. The Shmei Kollel b'Yoma. If the rooster can hear the voice of the crowing of the hen, and whenever you can hear, as long as you can hear the voice, if it's in the vicinity of we can hear the sound. Now, Avad Rab Mari Uvda, in fact, Rab Mari had a story that they came to him with an egg that was found early morning on Yom Tiv, and he said as follows. So the question was it fertilized or not? If it was fertilized, then we'll say that it was from the day before. If it was not, then we'll have to say it's from. Then we'll have no choice but to say that it's from today. So V'adshtin Bate, he said that it was up to 60 houses away. However, if there's we understand that if there's a river between the two, then the rooster will not pass the river. Now, the Ika Mavra, but if there is a bridge, Avra will assume the rooster has passed. Now, the Ika Mitzra, but if there's a rope bridge, like Avra. Now, however, there was a story that there was just a rope bridge, and the rooster did cross. But for the most part, we'll assume that it did not a cross.
We're getting very close to the joke.
Very good.
What I want to know is what happens if they put all their eggs in one basket?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah.
Now, so now, if